Hello and welcome once again to Tileford. Work's progressing well on the layout and I will have an update video for you soon, but today I wanted to share my thoughts with you about some new wagons which arrived in the post for me this morning. So let's see what we've got. What the postman delivered was the latest 00 gauge offering from the excellent team at Revolution Trains. Revolution last year made their debut in the 00 gauge market with their really highly detailed TEA tankers, which certainly got my vote for model of the year last year, and I think actually moved the TEAs onto a whole new level. I was at Worley last year and that's where Revolution launched these MMA and JNA-T wagons, and as soon as I saw that Revolution were going to be doing these, I made sure that I placed an order. I've been looking forward to these coming ever since. These wagons are in use right across the network. From my point of view, I'm particularly happy to have the Mend It Rail version, which we'll look at in a little bit more detail, because it's something which is definitely right at home on the Great Western main line, which is where Tileford is set. Now there's a number of different versions that Revolution have produced. The ones that I've received so far, in addition to the Mendip VTG, is the GBRF blue version. Both of these are limited editions made by Kerno Models, and Kerno have been very quick to get these out of the door, so I think they only received them at the start of the week and I've already got mine. In addition to this, Revolution are also producing the MMAs in the DB Schenker red, and I think they will sell a heck of a lot of those. They're also producing Amara grey and Amara with tarmac branding, as well as the VTG in blue. So irrespective of where your layout is based, if you're into the modern scene, then these wagons will be very at home on your layout. So what we'll do is get them unpacked and have a bit of a look, and I can highlight for you a couple of the things that I think you might find interesting about the wagons. So what's in the box? Well, first thing you get is the ice cube packaging, together with plastic polythene to the sheet to make sure that the wagon is well protected. Included also, you might just be able to see there, are some buffer detailing parts, mainly sort of vacuum pipes and that kind of thing, which you can fit if you want to. Also in the packaging is information about the wagon, so you get details about the prototype, and you also get some instructions about how to fit the working tail lights, which is relevant on some of the models, and then just details of all of the different parts. So heaps and heaps of information there for you. Anyway, let's get all that out the way and let's get to the interesting bit, which is the wagons themselves. So, as I've already mentioned, I've got two versions here. First up is, in rather striking, I have to say, blue and orange livery, is the GB Rail Freight version, and then to its left is the silver Mendip Rail version. So let's zoom in and have a bit more of a look. Okay, so looking at the GB Rail Freight version first of all. As you would expect, we've got the NEM couplings and the buffers, which are not sprung, but I mean, overall, looking at the model, I have to say that I think that Revolution have done a tremendous job of, you know, really capturing the look and the feel of these wagons. If I just zoom in, hopefully this won't blur. There we go. Okay, so what I hope you can see there is all of the data panels are printed, that they're actually legible, crisply done. You know, they've done a really great job of this. just zooming out for a second, and if I turn the model over, you can see the underside has also, you know, been detailed appropriately as well. So a really good and realistic job, you know, from an aesthetic point of view. Moving that one out of the way and just replace it with the Mend It Rail version. In the flesh, I personally don't think that this livery is quite as striking as the GB Rail Freight one. However, once again, the attention to detail of the data panels and just the overall quality of the finish, I think is really good. And again, it captures the prototype, I think, perfectly. I see these running regularly, as I mentioned, on the Western Main Line, and you know, whilst the ones in real life are obviously a heck of a lot more battered, and showing the effects of operational use, these I think are a really good depiction of them in their new state. So these wagons can either be purchased individually or in packs. I bought a pack of 4 of the Mend It Rail version from Kerno. I bought 2 individual in the GB Rail Freight livery, and I've got a load of the DB Schenker ones, which, as I say, will hopefully be coming through directly from Revolution at some point over the coming days. As I mentioned earlier, you do have the option to purchase a version that's got a working tail lamp. So what I want to do is just show you the tail lamp on this version, which is good. Hopefully you can see that okay. Let's just zoom in. Now, the wagon itself has got a false floor, and concealed underneath the false floor is a battery holder, and that battery then powers the flashing tail light. If you turn the wagon over, you might just be able to see inside here. There's a space to a circuit board, and that has a switch that you can alter to either turn the lights on or off. I have to say, the switch is really small. Revolution say they make it small so as not to be too obtrusive, but I have to be honest, it's so small that my old man eyes really struggle to see it, even with my glasses on. So I will attempt to turn the switch on and just show you how the you know, what the tail light looks like. So bear with me. Okay, sometime later I've managed to finally flick the switch on the wagon, and you are rewarded with the flashing tail light, which hopefully you can see there. Now look, I know I'm filming this in daylight. To my mind, that doesn't look very bright. Obviously I'll reserve judgment until I've got the opportunity to see it operating in the night time, and I also know that in the real world, you know, the tail lights don't look like sort of flashing Christmas trees or anything like that. So we'll reserve judgment. I would say that I think personally the switch is a great idea. I think it's just too small. I think it's too fiddly, and I can see it being a pain in the backside for a lot of us, particularly if, you know, if like me, you know, your eyesight isn't as good as it once was. What I'll also do now is just show you how you would go about fitting the tail light, or at least the batteries to the tail light. So let's do that on one of the Mend It Rail versions. Okay, so we'll get the tail light working on the Mend It Rail wagon here. They are battery powered, and the batteries are these CR927 batteries. I believe that the the wagons that have been sent directly from Revolution will have batteries included with them. These ones, which came from Kerno, were sent out without batteries, so I had to source them myself. And these were actually, I mean, they weren't tricky to find. I put a search into eBay and managed to get a load of them off of eBay for a couple of quid. but that was only after I'd been to Tesco, B&Q, Halfords, you name it. I went there to try and find these batteries. They are not commonly available. So my best advice would be get yourself on eBay and you know, stock up on a load of them. Anyway, so let's look at how we would fit them to the wagon. And the first thing that we need to do on the wagon is to remove the false floor that it has. So we turn it upside down. I showed you at one end you've got the opportunity for the switch there. At the other end you might just be able to see there's a small hole here, and all I do is simply push a screwdriver into the hole, and there's a little bit of a leap of faith, hoping that we don't break the wagon. There we go. Managed to get it a bit looser, and then a paper clip to finish the job. You could of course just use a cocktail stick or something like that, but what happens then is that the false bottom comes out. So you can see that we've got a gap there that the switch will drop through, and then on the bottom of the false floor of the wagon we have the chip here, which is held in place by two very small screws and with space underneath to fit the batteries. So I'm going to unscrew this. Hopefully I won't have to take it out of its housing completely, because these screws are very small and they look like they could be a bit of a faff. Anyway, let me get on with that, and then we'll reassemble. Okay, so finally managed to get the batteries into the chip. I've got to be honest, I mean, there's no way that you can, in my opinion, there's no way you can do that without removing this chip. And I've got to say, getting it back in place was a right faff. So thankfully it's a job hopefully you'll only have to do very, very occasionally. One thing I've noticed is that you can see the LED flashing there really brightly on you know, on the chip. I wonder if maybe the electrical connection on the other one, on the GBRF one, isn't particularly good, and that's maybe why it's so dim. Anyway, look, let's get it back into the wagon and see how it looks. Again, thankfully putting the floor back into the wagon is a heck of a lot easier than fitting the chip. Okay, and look, I mean, we can see there straight away how much brighter it is than its neighbour. So I think it's possibly a case of the electrical connection, as I say, on the GBRF one not being quite as good. But look, that's how you'd go about fitting the lights to these excellent wagons, and hopefully you'll be able to do it a lot easier than I was able to. So in summary, I think these wagons are great. Very, very happy that I managed to get hold of some of them. I think they represent an excellent second project from Revolution, and Revolution, I hope, will sell lots and lots of these to encourage them to do more in the 00 gauge market. They I know do an N version of the HOA wagons, and what I'm hoping is that at Wally this year they announced that they're going to transform those into a 00 gauge as well. So I think they're great wagons. I do think that the tail light, the fitting of the tail lights, and you know, just being able to access the switch to turn them on and off, personally I think that could have been a bit more sympathetically executed for those of us with not such great eyesight, and maybe not as nimble as we once were with small screws and what have you. But I wouldn't want that to detract from, you know, a really, really good model, one which yet again I think raises the bar within the you know, within the marketplace. So my advice would be, if you can get hold of some of these, then do so. As I said, I think they're a bit of a must-have for anyone interested in the modern scene. I'll leave you with a few running shots of these doing their inaugural laps round Tileford. and I'll update you with an update video of the layout itself over the coming weeks. Anyway, thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.